I noticed a lot, especially with boys, is the tendency to downplay their struggles. Like a lot of them were opening up, whether it was like addiction or like grief, self-harm. They'd always be like, oh, but it's like actually not that bad. Or like, it's like whatever. Kind of really downplaying what they were going through.
Welcome to Quadcast. I'm your host, Ina Effress. Today's guest is Alexa Chang, a freshman at Boston University, where she's studying psychological and brain sciences. She's a research assistant in a psychology lab and is working towards earning her PhD with the goal of becoming a professor and clinical psychologist. Outside of the lab and class, you can find Alexa performing in venues around Boston as a Tenor I with the BosTones acapella group. Welcome, Alexa.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming on. So, what is a Tenor I? Can you tell me what your role is in your a cappella group?
Oh yeah. So like a tenor one is just like my voice part. So since my strengths lie mainly in my lower register, I'm kind of a flex slot in the BosTones. Like I sing alto one, tenor one, sometimes like tenor two on some
Wow.
arrangements. If tenor two is high enough where I can hit it, then I'll sing tenor. But yeah, it's mainly just my voice part. I just sing the lower notes. But besides like my voice part, I'm also the secretary. So all the audition venues, all the performance venues, I book that stuff out. That's like my main job. Yeah.
Where do you guys perform in Boston?
In Boston, so just on BU campus, there's like the Agana Student Theater, which is on west side of campus, and a lot of theater productions and improv groups like to have their shows there. Like it's kind of smaller, more intimate type feel. And the acoustics are quite good. Outside of that, we've gotten a lot of requests. We've gotten some requests to perform at people's weddings and like
Wow.
at other public high schools in the Boston area, just to expose students enrolled in some of Boston's public schools to music and stuff like that. So, like the Opportune, some of Northeastern's a cappella groups, we come out.
How many a cappella groups does BU have? Do you know?
There's some that are like mixed gender, there's some that are all girls, some are like
Mm.
religious affiliated, some are like there's one group that I know is like POC only for like minorities and stuff. And they all do kind of a different variety of repertoire. I think there's 12 or 13, something like that.
What has been your favorite thing to perform this year with the BosTones?
Probably the song Ring My Bell. That's like a really fun
Oh,
song.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
that
we did.
song. So,
We did a Yeah, we did an acapella arrangement of that song. It's fantastic. It's so good. And we're doing Die with a Smile, Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga's Die with a Smile as acapella. We did that last semester and it was really, really, really fun too. So we're bringing it back.
let's talk about psychology at BU. You've been working in mental health for a long time. I
Yeah.
mean, you started when you were young, you started getting really serious about community service, and then it kind of morphed into mental health also. So
Yeah.
this has been your calling for a long time. So
Mhm.
and why did you choose BU for this pursuit?
I chose BU because so I did a summer program the summer before my senior year at Stanford. It's like a clinical neuroscience immersion like research program where throughout the day we're in lectures, and one of the lectures like I remember was jobs you can get with a BA in psychology or jobs in the psychology field. And a clinical psychologist with a PhD specifically stood out to me because initially I was thinking of just getting my PsyD and being a therapist, but the idea of teaching and doing research is like very interesting to me, and BU's research like facilities are like some of the best, or like R1 research institution.
Mm.
And a lot of the people that I knew from BU or like have heard of, like they were able to get involved into research super early. And I really took advantage of that. I started research literally the fall of my freshman year. I immediately got into a lab like in October, I think, or something. So the ability for freshmen to get involved so early was really interesting to me and the area too. Just Boston's a great city.
It's not typical for a college to offer research opportunities to freshmen, especially in the first semester. So
Right, yeah.
that's really cool. Do you feel like you can form a good working relationship with the head of the lab? Do you have mentors in your classes and in the lab? I'm trying to get at how big does BU feel? Do you feel like you can really form those relationships?
Yes, but you definitely need to, like, put in the effort to do
Hmm.
so. BU is larger, especially since at least some of my general classes are really heavily saturated because they hit a lot of hub requirements for students, so you have a big group of students that aren't necessarily in psychology, so finding people with your niche, like, definitely takes some time and some work, but in my lab, I've formed, like, a very good relationship with my lab supervisor. Our relationship is what allowed me to land my current TA position, and, like,
Hmm.
I'm TAing, like, a grad school class, like, as a 600 level class in second language acquisition, and in my opinion, like, the only reason why I was able to, like, get connected that way is because me and my professor have that great relationship. Because my lab supervisor is the teacher for that class, so I help
Mm.
her out.
Wow, that's wonderful. I didn't realize it was a grad level class. So there are opportunities, but you do have to put in an effort and like really cultivate those relationships at BU.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what about outside of your major? So you're meeting people through acapella, right? I've seen other acapella groups in other schools, for instance, at Harvard, I saw them perform recently and they feel
Mhm.
like a family. Does that feel that way with the BosTones?
Yeah, 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 100%. And I like one of the things that I really like about my group is we are like such a diverse group of students in terms of where our involvement is on campus. We have people that are really involved in like the College of Performing Arts. Like we have a couple like vocal performance majors or costume design. And we have some people that are really involved in like Greek life and sororities. We have people that are in like finance and Questra applied math. Like, and somehow we're all able to um like form like a really, really tight community, even though there's students that you would think traditionally would not be in one place at the same time together in terms of our interests, but working together and beyond just singing together, just like being really tight friends, like it really works. It's really nice.
And do you hang out on campus, off campus when you're not practicing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So some of the BosTones members, they live off campus in apartments. So sometimes they're like, hey, like after for context, in the fall, we have a lot of events that showcase all of the acapella groups together. Each acapella group performs like two songs or something. And afterwards they're like, hey, like do you want to just like go back to my apartment and hang out and watch something and we'll all go to someone's apartment for like the rest of the evening way after the event ends. And we just become really tight that way.
At BU, is there housing all 4 years, or do you have to get off campus housing at a certain point? Do you know?
I'm trying to think. I know freshmen are guaranteed housing for
Mhm.
sure. I can't speak if BU has guaranteed housing all 4 years. Typically, people start moving off in their junior year. I feel like that's pretty
Mhm.
typical for most college experiences, but I kind of feel privileged because my freshman housing experience is very atypical. Like, I'm in a very nice
Why?
building. They're basically just called brownstones. It's super cute, really charming, like, exposed brick on the outside with the little steps leading up to it. Very charming northeast, like, building. And I have my own bathroom, walk-in
Wow.
closet. Very, very posh for a freshman.
Do you share your room? Is your room a single or
Oh, my room's a double, but my roommate's,
okay.
like, super, super chill, and we're the only people on this floor. So there's, like, this
Wow.
lounge space I'm currently sitting in. No one really comes here, so it's kinda just ours now. Like,
Mm.
we just use it.
And did you know your roommate before or did you risk it?
Met her on Instagram. There's, like, those, like, Instagram accounts that are like, "Oh, BU 2030 or 2029," whatever,
Right.
and people post their bios. I reached out to her because I thought that she looked really sweet, and, like, we called a few times before, and she's even sweeter in person.
I get mixed opinions about Boston. Tell me, you like Boston. Where do you guys go out in the city?
Okay, we'll say, like, if you're above 21 and, like, you can go out clubbing, like, the night scene here is, like, pretty dead from my understanding, but, like, I don't really go out that much, or when I go out, it's not, like, for that. There's little places that have really fun things to do. There's this place I went to recently called Activate. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's just, like,
No.
you like, get an hour and there's, like it's kind of like there's 10 different rooms and they all have different mini games in them, and, like, you do it over and over, and you can, like, get points and, like, unlock levels and everything. It's super fun to do with friends. There's a lot of those kind of places, escape rooms,
Hmm.
like, crafting stuff. Um
All right.
mhm.
Okay. Wholesome. Boston is wholesome.
Wholesome. That like okay, I was talking about this with my boyfriend the other day because 'cause we're really big escape room people. Like, when we do escape rooms in LA, the themes of them are so much more, like, gritty. It's, "Oh, we're trying to, like, flush down all the drugs down the toilet before the cops come," or like, "Oh, we're trying to, like, escape the cartel," or, like, really gritty. But then here we did escape rooms and they're like, "We came across this forgotten, like, poet, and we're trying to, like, put together her, like, lost, like, work," or whatever. It's, like, a lot more, like
It's like intellectual.
yeah. Comparison's interesting.
That makes sense. I grew up in Newton.
Another thing that I've noticed just walking around well before, like, I applied to BU, just, like, I just walking around the city. In Cali, things are just so relaxed, like, people out, like, in their flip-flops and their short which is, like, nothing wrong with that, like, that's fine, but you could never catch anybody in the Northeast doing that, ever. I mean, the weather doesn't
Right.
really allow, but, like, when it does, like, people are always just dressed nice, like, nicer.
There aren't as many flip-flops in Boston, definitely.
Yeah.
You're rushing for a fraternity, right? Like co-ed fraternity?
I'm rushing for yeah, I'm rushing for both, APO and OFIA. They're 2 community service oriented. APO is the co-ed fraternity, and then OFIA is the sorority, mainly because something that I noticed in my fall semester here, obviously, I was, like, really involved in research, and then I had, like, the singing going on, which are 2 things that are, like, really dominant parts of my high school experience. But then service was another thing that I did a lot of in high school that I felt like, "Oh, I haven't really tapped into that yet here so far." And, in terms of joining those, whichever ends up working out, they just set up a lot of those opportunities for you in a way that's really nice, and it allows you to bond with people outside of your major, outside of your class, outside of, like, grade level. So it's, like, a good way to, like, find community while also, engaging in service the way that I did in high school.
On the BU campus, can you just talk to anybody? Like, you're always really, like, warm and social and outgoing. That's who you are. But do you feel like people are generally, like, community oriented on campus? Or is it just the same as any other campus where some people are kinda keep to themselves? My kids tell me I'm not allowed to use the word vibe anymore. But what's the vibe on campus?
No, that's perfectly fine. I think that people are definitely community oriented, but something that is interesting that I noticed is because, like, BU is literally 25% international, there's sometimes cultural, like, barriers sometimes. I was talking about this with my, actually, funnily enough, when I did a summer program at BU, my roommate, I became really good friends with her and we still talk. She's at USC now. And, like, this is her first time going to school, like, actually in America. Like, the way that Americans interact with each other, like small talk and that type of thing, is very different for her growing up in China. They didn't really do that. So, people just, like, going up and talking to her threw her
Wow.
off. Yeah, it's just super interesting. It's something that I, like, was thinking about because BU is so international and you have people coming from so many different backgrounds when it comes to just,
Mhm.
like, going up and talking to people. It's something that you need to think about. It's not a bad thing, but it's just, like,
Right.
different. Like, they just grew up with a different kinda culture back home.
Yeah, because people might react differently to it. That's
Mhm.
really interesting in a world that's so, like, America-centered sometimes. You're applying to summer programs too, and you want to stay in Boston during your summers?
The reason why I'm staying here in Boston is because since obviously I'm gonna continue my time here, the mentorships that I would build, like at the program that I'm currently applying for, would be really great for me to have as a resource, like further down the line once I become more niche in my major and I continue pursuing research. I just feel like I would find so many more opportunities out here for the summer rather than going back home and trying to do it.
You had a really unique high school experience because you were given a lot of independence by your parents. And you ran your life in so many ways. You were super responsible. You became an adult very early. It's interesting that you're now going into this field of psychology and brain science.
Yeah, for sure. So when I grew up in Claremont, like 5 minutes from the Claremont colleges or something. I applied to Harvard Westlake, which is a solid like 45 miles out west from where I was. Moved like 3 times. Um, And before I could drive, it would always be my mom having to drive me to school and then like drive to work in Fontana, which was like even further east than where I was living. So it kind of made logistics for her a lot harder. But I literally could not be more grateful for my experience because like I learned how to buy my own groceries, cook my own meals since I was like 16. And my mom would come. It's not like she would leave me there. She would come when she could, but
Right, but she's a doctor and she was on call and everything. So her hours were kind of crazy, right?
right, yeah, and as I got older, like, especially when I went to the upper school, she just gave me a lot more freedom, like, since I got my license and everything. But because of that experience, the transition to college has felt super chill for me. Because, like, in terms of living independently, like, making good, like, dietary, like, decisions, like, picking out food that'll be good for me, like, keeping my space clean and just, like, little, like, life things like that, I've had to do for the past, like, 2, 3 years. So even though I'm, like, super far away from home, it was kind of like a pseudo college experience where I was able to build on the skills that I would need for college, but still have the guidance of my parents, like, when I would need it. So now that I'm here, the transition hasn't really felt that crazy at all. Like, I know that some of the people that I know have been really homesick or having a hard time adjusting to college life. I do miss home, but in terms of adjusting, it just feels like what I've done in high school. Basically, it doesn't really feel that different to me. So that's why I'm really grateful that I was able to have those skills with me.
That's a really good point. I haven't really talked to students yet about life skills. Tell me more about why mental health?
When I was like going through therapy and I started to become really active like towards recovery, it like became really apparent to me how effective it is like if you really like put in the discipline and put in the work. And that was really empowering for me, being able to like take my agency back and like get myself out of that situation. But also through personal experience, but also just through observing other people, like trying to get an appointment to like see a psychiatrist or like see a psychologist is so hard. The wait time is so insane. Like, I had a friend that she was telling me that she wanted to get evaluated for depression and, like, maybe start medication if they really did think that she had, like, major depressive disorder, and she didn't get an appointment until, like, 4 or 5 months after she initially talked to me, which is so crazy to me just because like, mental and physical health are so directly related, like, they reflect one another. And, like,
Absolutely.
depression is, like, a huge thing, like, that impacts, like, your quality of life to, like, such an insane degree. The fact that, like, being able to treat mental health is a privilege, like, that is crazy to me. Like, I would hope that later in the future, we have more accessible options because the last thing that people should be thinking about when it comes to any kind of facet of their physical or mental well-being is the cost. Like, that's, like, you're paying to live, basically. Like, that's insane to me. So I hope that as I involve myself in mental health, like, I can help open up more accessible options for people and just make mental health education more normalized, like in public schools and like work settings.
You were a volunteer on Teen Talk, helping teens anonymously calling in. You noticed a pattern with boys.
Something I noticed a lot, especially with boys, is they just like the tendency to downplay their struggles. Like a lot of them were opening up, whether it was like addiction or like grief, self-harm, they'd always be like, "Oh, but it's like actually not that bad," or like, "It's like whatever," like kind of really downplaying their like what they were going through. And I think I was thinking about it, it's like seriously just like a direct reflection of this like toxic masculinity thing where like boys need to uphold this strong image in order to be perceived as masculine, when I think being emotional is one of the most masculine things you can do, because it shows a lot of bravery. But I think it's just like sad that it's, something that is so deeply human is like ingrained in these boys' heads, or like is like the notion that, oh, I can't, it's not okay for me to feel things, and it's like not okay for me to express that I'm not doing okay, when it's such a human experience.
You were able to see those patterns partly because you're very in tune with how others are feeling around you, and you've always been that way, but also because you have a background in science. You were able to see those patterns. So you put those things together. And that leads me into I just want to touch a little bit because I think some high school students will be interested in this. Tell me how you presented those sides of yourself to make yourself stand out as an
Oh.
applicant in your field.
I think in my application, I really leaned into like purpose beyond myself. Also helps that
Hmm.
I'm like really involved in community service, but BU, like especially since it's such a diverse community, like
Hmm.
they really appreciate like looking beyond yourself, like academic curiosity, but also like cultural curiosity, like being open to other people's like ways of life, being open to people's ways of thinking. And I think that like being able to notice these patterns in boys and like laying out how like what I would do showed to be you that like, hey, like this person like looks beyond herself like towards like a group of people that might be more vulnerable or might need more help.
Just a couple campus things, like on campus, where do you study? Where do you hang out? What are the little secret spots or not so secret?
Okay. For studying, I really like here where I'm sitting, but obviously that's like I live here. Um, but outside like a public space,
Hmm.
I really like the CDS building, but never go to the first floor ever. You will never find an outlet or a table to save your life, especially in like final season. Some of
What's
the
the
higher,
CDS building?
it looks like it's like Jenga. It's like the glass building that's like super layered and funky looking. It's very hard to miss. It's when Harvard students like look across the Charles, like they can see the CDS building. But I like to go to some of the higher floors just because you get a view of Boston and it's gorgeous. Also it's really quiet up there and you have like exposed sunlight, so it's like a nice space to be in. I like also Killichan, which is the honors college, but the honors college dorm, but their study space on the ninth floor is open to all students. So sometimes I go up there with some of my friends. Like it's a super modern, really newly renovated space, so lighting is great. Also has views of Boston and everything. So
Alexa, thank you so much for
yeah,
joining us and giving us the inside scoop. Am I allowed to say inside scoop or is that as bad
yeah.
as vibe?
No, neither are bad.
Okay.